Coming up on this edition of the Smart Mortgage Show, we're going to talk about tax planning. You're probably getting your documents in order, trying to get all your paperwork put together and organized so that you can file your 2024 taxes. But before you do that, if you are in the market for a new home, think you might purchase a new home here in 2024, you want to pay attention to these things we talk about coming up. Welcome into the Smart Mortgage Show. Glad to have you once again on the show. I'm Ben George with Bill Linton. He is over at Cross Country Mortgage. He is the regional president there in Chadds Ford, Pennsylvania. You can find us always online at smartmortgageshow.com. We're glad you're here. And Bill, hope you're doing well today.
Hey, Ben, I'm doing great. Thank you. Trying to stick with some of my health objectives that we talked about at the end of our last episode. And actually, you caught me on one of your comments that I think helped. I said to you I was going to try and add one healthy habit a month. And you were like, man, after the show, that's a lot. And I was like, wait a minute. That is definitely not me keeping with the slow, steady growth. So I just wanted to mention it's one per quarter is my goal.
Did we talk about what your first habit was? Or do you want to share? You don't have to share if you don't want to, but.
No, it's a great. So it's drinking clean water. I installed a water filter at my office and at my house, and I'm drinking a lot more water because of it.
Nice.
So it's to drink more water, but make sure it's good, clean water.
Can you taste the difference, or you just know that it's cleaner water and better for you?
I can taste the difference for sure. Yeah, I'm actually excited to drink it, whereas I guess, I don't know. I never was excited to drink either out of the tap or even a plastic bottle because water leaches into plastic leaches into the water. So, yeah.
I'm very thankful that I don't think my taste buds are tremendous. I couldn't just go out and be some kind of food critic because I can't definitely taste the difference between a lot of different flavors. So I think that's been good for water because I'll drink whatever. I've always have. And we grew up, Bill, drinking out of the tap, right? Or drinking out of the water hose out in the yard. So if you have decent tap water around you, you can take advantage. But there is definitely a concern for clean water. And I'm glad that that is a priority for you. And I'm sure a lot of other people have installed similar instruments inside their home to try to help with that. But yeah, the plastic bottles is not a good thing for the water either. And I don't even remember that much growing up having access to that much bottled water. It just seems like it's been a thing in the last 15, 20 years. So
I think, buying water in bottles at Wawa or 7-Eleven or whatever the convenience store is near you. But that was not a thing when I grew up. Buying water, you drank water out of the water fountain at school, the hose outside, the tap.
Yep.
That was it.
Well, we won't go too far into the water world. We want to dive into taxes today because we are at the beginning of the year, and everyone's thinking tax planning. Hopefully, it's not too much of a burden on your finances as you look ahead. But we are getting our stuff organized and thinking about filing. Some people get it done earlier in the year. Some people wait until April, until the deadline to get it done. But regardless of when you're filing, as you go through this and you start to kind of get things in order, we want to be talking about things that you need to be thinking about if you plan on trying to get a mortgage this year and buying a new home. And I know a lot of people are in that boat of hopefully inventory increases, rates drop down, and perfect time to get back in and look for that new home. So if you are doing some tax planning, some things to think about here today on the show. Before we jump into that, again, if you're watching us on YouTube, please hit subscribe. Help us grow there. But you can always get in touch with Bill and his team at Cross Country by calling 484-352-4151 and take advantage of the free 15-minute mortgage and loan consultation to kind of find out what's best for you. Let the team at Cross Country get to know you a little bit better, your financial goals, your position, what you want to get out of your home, and they can help begin having that conversation about what options are best for you. All right, Bill. So tax planning, it's not the most exciting topic. I don't even know that we've even talked a lot of taxes here on the show. So it is an important part of everybody's finances. So how does it fit into the home buying process?
Yeah. So just one thing I want to back up. Taxes are exciting to me, Ben, because from a mortgage standpoint, I am a nerd about this stuff.
Okay.
But yes, it is. It can be a little bit mundane, but I think if you look at it from the standpoint of, tax planning is just right under the general umbrella of mortgage planning. And if you're planning to buy a house, You want to give yourself the best opportunity to make the best decisions. This is the largest purchase you're ever going to make, the largest debt encumbrance you're ever going to have, the place where you're going to pay the most interest on any loan that you've ever had. So if we plan on the taxes correctly, we might be able to save you some money. And here's the first place to look is if you're self-employed. When you're self-employed, there's a benefit of you get to write off your expenses. It reduces your taxable amount, how much tax you need to pay at the end of the year. But if you're self-employed and you've written off so much that you can't get a mortgage, that's probably not a great strategy. And with businesses, sometimes you can defer write-offs or defer expenses. There's a lot of things that you can do. What we like to do is we like to do tax planning with your CPA to make sure we're maximizing tax benefits, but we're also optimizing mortgage options. And it's something that we can work together with your CPA or your tax planner to make sure that we're putting this together, put you in the best position possible to buy a house in 2024.
So you're saying the people who are self-employed then would come in and let's say, hey, they've done a really good job being efficient with their taxes and able to add a lot of write-offs, but all of a sudden it looks like their income is very low because of that, right? When in reality, maybe that's not truly the case or not the full picture. So, tax planning, while it's a good thing, I guess you're saying before you get these, you file and take whatever write-offs you have, to think about how that factors into your loan, because it could limit, are you saying it could limit your options significantly? It
could limit your options significantly or even cause you to not qualify for any standard financing options, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a minute. So here's an example, Ben, is there's a lot of flexibility in tax law. And sometimes you could defer expenses. So let's just say that you had this $50,000 expense that if it hits your taxes, it's going to greatly decrease the income that we can use towards your loan qualifying. Because if that money goes somewhere else for another expense, it also can't be used to make your mortgage payment. But what if there was a way to defer those expenses to a later tax year? Because this year you're buying a house, you still get the benefit next year, maybe not this year. And maybe with your accountant, we look at how do we depreciate some things more heavily this year so you could still get the same tax benefit, but from a lending standpoint, you'll pay less taxes, but you'll qualify for the house you want to qualify for because we can add back depreciation, because depreciation is not a real cash flow item. I know we're getting a little bit into the weeds here, but I'm trying to just give the example of when we work with your accountant, these are the things that we work with them on to maximize your tax deductions, minimize the amount of tax you pay, and optimize how much house you can buy.
Well, I don't think you're getting into the weeds that much either, because I think that's a kind of a clear example of just how you can maybe get to the same end result by just taking a different path. And it doesn't, to me, as the person that's filing my taxes, it might not make a difference to me. I might not see the difference just up front, but it shows you the importance of having professionals to work with and people on your team that are very familiar with this stuff, that have a passion for taxes like you do. And I never feel dumber, Bill, than when I talk taxes with people and I'm like, that's so obvious that move would be there, but I would never think about that without somebody prompting me.
Yeah, exactly. And truly, this is what we do all day, every day. So we love getting, into the weeds on this to figure out, dig deep into the tax return, figure out how to maximize for you. And you would not be able to do that on your own unless you did this every day. In fact, a lot of the mortgage professionals out there probably don't fully utilize these advantages for their customers. And we try to, maximize on these advantages. And, one of the other things that's really important, Ben, is let's just say, for instance, that, if you wrote off all the expenses in this tax year, and I'm just throwing a number out there, let's say saved you $50,000 in tax, true dollars that you'd have to pay out in taxes, right? You either pay zero in taxes or you pay $50,000. Or we go to a mortgage product that doesn't care how much you write off and you pay an extra $5,000 in interest. Well, maybe in that case, write off everything you can. You pay an extra $5,000 in interest, you save $50,000 in taxes, you're up $45,000.
Yeah, it's really interesting to hear the math as it gets worked out. And, again, these are things that people just aren't familiar with because they're not in that world and they're not educated on it. And it's not any fault to their own. It's just the way we go about our lives. But that's why you have somebody on your team that can help you with that. So again, as we go through this, and if you have questions for Bill across country, want to sit down and start talking about maybe your options for a mortgage and maybe how the tax planning fits into that, you can always call 484-352-4151. So what are maybe some alternate lending options then, Bill, for people in this situation here in 2024 and the years to come?
So these options are, some people might equate them to what used to be subprime lending, but I assure you they're very different. So with subprime lending, you didn't have to show an ability to repay the loan. In any of these products, you must demonstrate an ability to repay the loan. So first example would be, let's just say that your business on the tax return from a tax standpoint, let's just say that business takes a loss. So every year it loses money, okay? And you're taking advantage of the tax law. So we know that there's money there. And in fact, on your credit report, when we look at your credit report, we can see that you have car loans and mortgages and outstanding debt, and it all gets paid on time, right? So the credit's fantastic. There's no credit issue. Well, instead of looking at the tax returns, we have the ability to not look at the tax return at all, but let's look at the bank statements. How much money is coming in on that bank statement every month, right? Maybe that's a better indication of an ability to pay back the loan than the tax return. Because, the tax return is just one way of reviewing income to determine if someone qualifies, but there are other ways. So again, the bank statement loan, I think, has gained a lot of popularity. And then, the other type of loans that we see are like asset qualification. So easy example is you want to borrow $500,000 and you have $500,000 in the bank. You have the full amount of the loan in the bank. And again, your credit looks great. Everything you do is paid on time. Maybe the tax return is not the best indicator of your ability to repay the loan. Maybe the fact that you have the full amount of the loan in the bank is enough, I would say, of a compensating factor or a security for the bank to say, we're going to lend them the money because they've got a lot of money saved and they could make the payments. They could pay the loan in full.
Yeah, it's really interesting to hear you work through it, and just kind of gives you a glimpse into some of the conversations you have with clients, I'm sure, and kind of how you work through some of these options with people. And I know we think tax planning, or I guess it's more tax preparation at this point right now for people that are getting ready to file, but do these kind of conversations come up? Let's say if I was looking for a mortgage in October or November, do you still have these kind of same tax conversations that we're having now?
We do, because whether it's what we love to do is catch it now if you're trying to buy this year, because now's the time that you can have the most impact on how your taxes are filed. But for anybody that we haven't had the conversation with, what we do is we either pre-approve you or we provide a mortgage action plan. And that plan could be based on credit. It could be based on saving money for closing costs. It could be wherever you're deficient. We're going to touch on that area. Well, this one would be income, in the income area. So if it's October, you've already filed 2024 taxes back before April 15th, but those taxes aren't helping you to qualify, then we'll provide the advice in October and maybe just wait until you file the taxes in early 2025 in that case.
All right. A credit action report. Is that what we called it?
Yeah, a mortgage action plan.
Okay.
Mortgage action plan to wherever you're deficient. Let's focus on that, fix it, and put you in a position to qualify.
I love it. I love it. The mortgage action plan, part of the process as you go through it with Cross Country Mortgage. Again, Bill is a regional president with Cross Country, the office there in Chadsford, Pennsylvania. And you can find everything online at smartmortgageshow.com. We'd appreciate it if you subscribe to the show. You can always call and reach out with any questions that you have based on what we talk about here on every single episode. It's 484-352-4151. And Bill, anything coming up over the next few weeks for you guys across country?
So right now, what we are doing here across country is trying to prepare our buyers for the spring market and, getting a lot of people pre-approved. So I've had a conversation just yesterday with somebody who said, my lease isn't up until April, so we want to buy in April. And I said, that's going to be here before you know it. And they said, well, we know that if we look at a house today, it won't be available in April, so we're probably not going to start looking until February. And I said, yeah, but this gives us, well, it's almost February now, but towards the end of February. And I said, this will give you 2 to 3 weeks of, the more runway that we have, the more time we have to tweak and make sure you're in the best position possible. Maybe you need to save a little more money. Maybe you need to pay down a credit card to bump your score up 30 points to get over a certain threshold. We're going to give you that advice through the mortgage action plan, and it's going to best prepare you and put you in the best position for whatever you're going to do in April, May, June, whenever that is. So we are helping people to prepare through mortgage planning to put them in the best position, whether they're self-employed or not, so that they can have the best experience when they buy a house in the spring market.
Well, plenty of benefits to getting started early. So again, take advantage of that. If you're thinking about getting a home this year, whether it be in spring or summer or fall, whenever that might be, to begin to have those conversations to put you in the best position possible, give you the most options to get that home that you're looking for. So again, Bill, we thank you for your time today. We thank you for watching us here on YouTube or listening to us, whatever podcasting app you choose to do that on. We appreciate your support there. Hit subscribe wherever you find us. And again, you can check out everything we do online at smartmortgageshow.com. Bill, have a good month. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Ben. Thanks, everybody, for listening.
This program is for informational purposes only. Please consult a qualified professional before taking any action. Bill Litton is a loan advisor and regional president with Cross Country Mortgage, NMLS number 147060.